Good morning, grade sevens. Your first assignment in this unit, now that you've worked with all the vocabulary stuff, if you haven't done the vocabulary, go back and do it. You need to know that. Okay, now that you've done the vocabulary stuff, we're going to talk about writing expressions. Okay, now actually, you've been writing expressions since day one in this class. Every time I've given you a word problem, I have told you that you have to write a math statement and then calculate the value of that statement. Well, it's the same thing as writing an expression. Okay. The catch is in this unit, we're not always going to give you all the numbers. Instead, we're going to say, this happened to this. I don't know how big the number was. And now instead of writing a number down, you're just going to write a letter down. Don't sweat the fact that you don't know how much the expression is worth. That's okay. You don't have to know how much the expression is worth. All right. At the very end of this unit, we're going to teach you how to calculate the value of the expression once you know what the variable's worth. But in the meantime, don't worry about it. Okay. It's not a concern. All right. We're going to do 5 examples actually in this lesson. The first 4 are all food themed, because I don't know, that's where my brain went this morning, and it's going to make me seem like a real junk food addict. So here we go. So I have my first example here. Says, I add 2 more chocolate bars to my emergency stash of chocolate. Now we have to write an expression for how many chocolate bars I have. Well, I don't know how many chocolate bars I started out with, right? So I can't write that number down, but I can pick a letter to act as a variable to stand in for that missing number, okay? In this case, I'm going to use B for chocolate bar, okay? So I had a certain top secret number of chocolate bars in my emergency stash, and nobody gets to know how many chocolate bars there were. So we're just going to use B to stand in for that. And then I added 2 more. Well, our expression is pretty simple. It's just B, and then we added 2 more, right? No biggie, no biggie. And then, oh no! I got all stressed out, and I ate 3 chocolate bars from my emergency stash. Bummer. Okay. Now, if this is chronological, I'm actually not going to use B, because B was how many chocolate bars I had before I added the 2. In this case, I think I'm going to use E for emergency stash. Why not? Okay. And E would be equal to B plus 2, but that's grade 8 or 9 algebra, so don't worry about that yet. So now we have however much I had in my secret stash. We don't know how many it was. I ate 3 of them. Oh no, I removed 3 from my emergency stash. I have 3 less than I had to start with. Okay, and we don't know how many chocolate bars there were, right? If I had 4 chocolate bars, I now only have 1 left. If I had 15 chocolate bars, that means I still have 12 left. Maybe I only had 3 chocolate bars and I freaked out and I ate them all. You guys don't know because you don't know how big my emergency stash was. And that's okay. All right. You don't have to solve this. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about clue words here. All right. These may not be phrased this way. Okay. But anytime we talk about there were this many more, I added this many more, I made this much more money, you're going to be adding. Okay. Anytime we talk about there were this many less, these many people left, we ate this many, we spent this much money, we're going to be talking subtraction. All right, so those are cue words, they're clues that tell you in the English language we're adding or we're subtracting. If you're not sure whether we're adding or subtracting, think it through in your head, visualize it, draw a picture if you have to, okay? It can be helpful. And that should let you know, are we adding, are we subtracting, or are we multiplying or dividing? So here I have a couple more problems that apparently involve me eating large quantities of junk food. I don't know. It just happened apparently. So chips at the store are $2 a bag. I buy a number of bags. Write an expression for the cost. I'm apparently too embarrassed about my chip consumption to tell you how many bags I bought at the store whenever this happened. So when we do this, anytime we talk about the cost per item, they were this much each person had this many. These are multiplication problems, okay? These are clue words for multiplication, and I am posting a document with all the clue words for multiplication. There's a lot of them that you can consult when you're writing this. Again, diagrams can be helpful. So in this case, if I bought 1 bag, it was $2. If I bought 2 bags, it's $4. If I buy 3 bags, it's $6. The expression And I think I'm going to use C for chips in this case for my variable. I don't know how many bags of chips I bought. I just bought C number of chips. I'm going to multiply how many bags of chips I bought by 2 because they were $2 each. Now remember, I don't put an X in these, right? 2XC is confusing. So instead, I'm just going to write 2C. Okay? 2 times the number of bags of chips I bought is going to tell me how much money I spent. All right? Last one here. Apparently, out of my secret stash, I grabbed a bag of Skittles. Not really sure how big this bag of Skittles is or how many Skittles it has in it. So I'm afraid I'm going to have to use a variable to represent how many Skittles are in the bag. And in this case, I'm going to use an S. Be careful about using S as a variable because if you aren't careful how you write it, it can end up looking a little bit like a 5. So make sure anytime you use S as a variable, you're very careful. Make sure the letter is nice and curved, doesn't have any straight lines on the top, so it does look like an S and not a 5. Okay? So I had a certain number of Skittles in this bag, and I opened it up, and 3 people shared the Skittles from the bag. Well, anytime we talk about sharing equally, dividing equally, moving into 3 different equally sized piles, this is a clue for division, okay? These are clue words for division. And so this is the number of Skittles. If we divide this by 3, then we get how many Skittles each person will receive, right? And there's more than one way to write this. Many of you still prefer this, but you're going to find more and more often that instead of writing this division symbol, we're going to be writing this like that, or possibly even S over 3. Okay, so these are 4 expressions. Okay, one for each of the major operations. Unfortunately, life isn't always quite this simple, okay? Sometimes we may end up having to write an expression that has more than one operation in it. So I'm going to give you an example of that that's a little bit more complicated as well. We're going to erase these over here. All right. So in this particular scenario, suppose that, yeah, I'm actually making this one up on the spot. I probably shouldn't be. Suppose that I want to know how much the cost of my junk food at the store is going to be. And I know that I bought a bottle of pop for $3. Apparently it's brand name. Okay. So I bought a bottle of pop for $3. And then remember my bags of chips? I bought a few bags of chips at $2 a bag, but I didn't count how many there were. And I want to know how much money I'm going to spend at the store. Well, I'm going to take the amount of money I spent on chips, which is $2 a bag, even though I don't know how many bags there are. So that's 2C. And then I'm going to add in the $3 that I spent on pop. Plus 3 equals, and whatever my cost is, right? I'm not even going to have an equals. So if I had 1 bag of chips, if I bought 1 bag of chips, 1 times 2 is 2 plus 3 is 5. That means I spent $5 at the store. If I buy 2 bags of chips, 2 times 2 is 4 plus 3 is 7. That means I spent $7 at the store. If I buy 3 bags of chips, 2 times 3 is 6 plus 3 is 9. That means I spent $9 at the store. And so on. For that matter, if I chose not to buy any chips at all, I only spent $3 at the store. Apparently, I had to have the pop. It was an absolutely necessary expense. Okay. So we also have, I'm standing on the wrong side of the board. I apologize. We also have these types of expressions. Okay. And these expressions are interesting because they have more than one math operation in them. They aren't always multiplication and addition, of course. You could just as easily say everybody shared a bag of Skittles, right? So we have S divided by 3, and then everybody also got 2 extra Skittles from somewhere. Okay, so you'd have S divided by 3, and then you'd add in 2 more Skittles. Okay, lots of different possibilities for this. So you have one assignment that is specifically on writing me expressions based on word problems. I know that some of you hate this, some of you love this. Take a crack at it. I have, of course, included the answer key, and I have included a cheat sheet of clue words to help you figure out which operation goes where. All right. Hope you enjoy it. I'll see you next time.